Wild weather waking up and shaking up a local town. A tornado leaving behind a path of destruction.
It literally felt like something just sort of washed through.
Tonight, Concord is picking up the pieces. We have night team coverage of this powerful storm.
The storms are out tonight, much calmer, and there's a change in the air as things start to cool down.
Then electronic tolls are good to go in Massachusetts, but opponents say they're worried about the road ahead.
Plus, Ryan Lochte now really paying the price after lying about getting robbed in Rio.
And an unholy act when a nun is robbed at knife point. The suspects called to court.
7 News at 10 starts now. Tonight at 10, touching down.
Lightning and sheets of rain and huge noise.
And tearing up.
An extraordinary amount of damage for such a short hit.
Tonight, dealing with the damage from a terrifying overnight tornado.
And the tornado ripped trees out of the ground and sent branches flying.
There were no injuries, but plenty of damage. From the minute that tornado hit to the massive cleanup efforts underway, we have night team coverage of this wild weather, starting with Tim Caputo live in Concord with the aftermath.
And Nick and Jody, on the cleanup continues this evening, and I'll give you a sense of exactly what they're dealing with. Some trees, like this one on the ground behind me, snapped right in half. Other trees got completely uprooted, with some of the branches falling on homes but not causing all that much damage. Everyone here in town realizes this could have been much, much worse. Even after 15 straight hours of clearing down trees, there's still a lot of work left. Early Monday morning, a powerful tornado ripped a half-a-mile-long path of destruction in Concord in a matter of seconds.
It was an extraordinary amount of damage for such a short hit.
Hundreds of trees were either snapped in half or ripped right out of the ground from the swirling 100-mile-an-hour winds of the EF1 tornado.
A couple of trees that you could see were just twisted and then came down.
The tornado carved a path about as wide as a football field through mostly wooded areas in historic Concord. Branches fell on several homes, but only one house sustained significant damage.
I was surprised not to see more trees into houses. The way they fell, different directions, it was mainly between houses.
This afternoon, Governor Charlie Baker surveyed the damage and met with homeowners who are left with quite the mess to clean up.
Anybody who doubts the fury and the precision of Mother Nature just needs to take a walk along the route that was hit by that storm.
The tornado hit at 3 in the morning. If the National Weather Service severe weather alert didn't wake people up, the loud, terrifying winds did.
Everything was shaking. We felt a lot of pressure against the walls.
I don't think my heart has beat that fast ever.
By morning, crews were already hard at work removing all the damaged trees. No one was hurt during the tornado, but one worker was rushed to the hospital after being hit by a branch while loading a wood chipper. Downed power lines knocked out power to about 1,000 homes initially, but tonight most have their lights back on.
I think in many ways we all got hugely lucky on this one.
So back out here live right now, you see power crews are still working on those lines. At last check, still tonight, 62 homes remain in the dark. We're live tonight in Concord. Tim Caputo, 7 News Night Team.
People living in the tornado's path getting an unwelcome wake-up call early this morning as the winds picked up and debris started flying around right outside of their windows. The night team's Amaka Ubaka is in Concord with more on their terrifying experience.
Well, Nick, we're in one of the hardest hit areas, and you can see that it is completely dark out here other than our lights because power has still not been turned on in this area. Neighbors told me that they woke up to shaking and rattling as trees like these behind me came crashing down.
A path of destruction.
It came in quick. Bang.
As uprooted trees and downed power lines fill this neighborhood along Alcott and Independence, one of the areas officials say sustained the most damage.
Never seen anything like this. This is Midwest stuff.
Gary Puryear has toppled trees in his backyard, the powerful storm sending a couple of them straight through his roof.
They hit the roof so hard that there's structural damage. Got cracks in the ceilings and in the walls.
Many backyards still covered with trees, while front yards are littered with debris as utility crews and tree trimming services work to clear the scene.
Trees were falling in front of houses, behind houses.
Gary Burlum describes the moment the tornado hit.
All of a sudden the house started rattling, shaking, very loud. All the windows were blocked with green spinach, just flying all over the place, and then the trees started coming down.
A total of 39 homes had some sort of damage, but despite it all, neighbors say they know it could have been much worse.
I don't have a broken window other than the shed. So it's kind of funny how it kind of swirled around the house and didn't touch a thing.
I don't like it, but got to deal with it.
Neighbors tell me they're not sure when they will get their power back on, but we do expect crews to be back out here first thing in the morning. For now, we're live in Concord. Amaka Ubaka, 7 News 19.
And Governor Baker says the tornado was only on the ground for 30 to 60 seconds. Tonight, the community cleanup has begun, and there's a lot of hard work ahead for these crews who are just getting into the mess. The night team's Brandon Gano continues our team coverage with more on what it takes to recover from something like this. Brandon?
Well, Johnny, it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of equipment. Take a look. These crews are going to be here the entire night. They've been working on trees. Right now, you can see they're working on that power line. They've been here for hours, and they could be here for days.
The cleanup efforts are colossal. A huge number of trees have to be cut up and shipped out.
It's a big undertaking, as you can see by all the equipment that we got here.
Crews are working into the night in the next couple of days, clearing debris and restoring power. The streets taking #1 priority.
Trying to help out as many people as possible, pull as much stuff out to the road and process it. You know, there's a lot of stuff in people's backyards that we're not going to be able to get to.
More than 1,000 families were without power. Incredibly, less than 100 homes are still in the dark tonight. The challenge is getting the poles back up and the power lines on the poles. That has to happen before families can turn the lights back on.
What we're doing is trying to get everything back on the poles. We need everything back on the poles before we can re-energize the circuits.
We've been pulling trees off of wires to try and get the electricity back on.
According to the National Weather Service, the drought that we've experienced this summer actually increased the damage. That's because the trees have been weaker due to the lack of rain, making them easier to uproot and blow over.
Homeowners are doing everything they can to help with the cleanup as well, moving down trees from backyards to the front where trucks can pick them up.
The tree people that are coming to take some of the things with cranes that they have to remove with cranes in our backyard can't make it till the end of the week.
Now, back out live, you can see that crew working on that power line. I think that power line was actually down a couple of hours ago. Betty said the trick, though, to cleaning up is wine and chainsaws, but not necessarily in that order. Realistically, Lexington Road here is going to be closed in the morning, and a few dozen are still without power. We're live in Concord. Brandon Gano, 7 News 19.
And people woken up by the tornado say the whipping winds really came out of nowhere.
Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Reiner has more on the timeline of this storm and how quickly it formed.
Right, yeah, and again, rated as an EF1 with winds at 100 miles per hour. The width of the tornado, the widest point was 400 yards on the ground for about a half mile. Considerable tree damage. And again, the first overnight tornado since 1970. Very rare. Thankfully, no injuries, no fatalities. So we take it back to the radar at 2:52 this morning. This is what it looked like over Marlboro. And at that time, it kind of was trying to display a bit of a hook echo, as well as the wind velocity was supporting that as well, rotation. So from that point, it moved northeast, and then at 3:09 or so, this is what the radar looked like. Again, there's Concord right there, and again, Sudbury still displaying that bit of a hook, even though there was no report of a tornado in Sudbury. The Weather Service went ahead and issued the tornado warning at that point, crossing over Concord. And again, at this point, also winds supporting the rotation inside that downpour, and that continued to move off to the northeast with the most significant damage in this portion of Concord. Again, thankfully, though, no fatalities, no injuries, and no storms tonight. Quiet and cool. We'll talk more about that coming up next.
And you can always track those storms as they develop. Our easy-to-use interactive radar is on the 7 News app and on WHDH.com.
We are following more news tonight. Ranger danger in Milton. A park ranger arrested, accused of setting up a camera in a bathroom. Police say a co-worker made the disturbing discovery. The night team's Kelly O'Hara is live in Milton with the story.
Now, the 30-year-old arrested over the weekend here, and troopers actually didn't know who put that camera there until they started watching those videos.
Throw away the key. Nasty. You're disgusting.
Yelled at outside of court, Park Ranger Raymond McKinnon not talking to our cameras or anyone else about the accusations he's facing.
You don't want to say anything at all. Do you want to apologize for what happened?
McKinnon is accused of filming female lifeguards at this pond in Milton. The Department of Conservation and Recreation employee allegedly hid a pen camera in a bathroom to watch women, prosecutors say, go to the bathroom. But that recording cut short when discovered by one woman over the weekend.
A lifeguard at Houghton Pond Pond identified herself to a state trooper and indicated that while going to the bathroom in a staff bathroom at the Houghton Pond lifeguard facility, she noticed a green light. The images were obtained in certain videos of certain employees known to the Commonwealth, mostly lifeguards at Houghton Pond, seen going to the bathroom.
The 30-year-old arrested quickly after troopers looked at those videos. The park closed for the day as troopers continued their investigation. In a statement, DCR says the DCR is deeply disturbed by these allegations and remains committed to assisting state police as they continue their investigation. As for McKinnon, he's free on bail, told a judge he wasn't guilty.
McKinnon posted a $10,000 bond. He's due in court later on this fall. In Milton tonight, Kelly O'Hara, 7 News 9 team.
New at 10, Bedford police looking for this man. Take a look. The department tweeting out this picture today saying he robbed a Citizens Bank around 6:30. Anyone who knows who he is should call police.
An update tonight on 2 children pulled from a pool Saturday in Lowell. Officials say the 2-year-old girl's condition has improved, but she remains in the hospital. A 3-year-old boy is still in critical condition. The district attorney's office is investigating how the children ended up in the water.
A Woburn man called to court today accused of a stabbing. Police say 36-year-old James Lyons stabbed a man during a fight. He's now facing charges of assault with intent to murder. That fight happened Friday night in the parking lot of Jake and Joe's Sports Grill. The 31-year-old victim had to be rushed to the hospital.
A Lynn man in court today on his 3rd OUI charge after police say he crashed his car into a utility pole and then ran away. Robert Daddario is also charged with interfering with the police officer. The crash happened at Boston and Broadway streets in Lynn Saturday. Traffic was impacted and the crash also knocked out power to a nearby neighborhood for hours.
Changes are coming to Massachusetts highways. A new digital payment system is now approved, and that is already taking a toll on the nerves of some drivers who are worried about protecting their privacy. No more toll booths. The Massachusetts Department of Transportation meeting today to discuss the state's new electronic tolling system. Up for discussion, who and what they'll be watching.
We're collecting data so that we can properly bill people for the tolls that they incur, and that's the only way, in most cases, we will ever use that data.
Data meaning your license plate. The state says they are using the data for billing and to help law enforcement with some investigations, like when there's an Amber Alert. They're assuring the public access to that information will be limited. However, the American Civil Liberties Union says it has concerns and questions.
At the ACLU, we don't object to, the state police getting notifications for Amber Alerts or, really serious life-threatening emergencies like that. But it certainly shouldn't be the case that law enforcement is getting access to hot-listed information for, people who are wanted on a drug possession charge or some low-level offense like that.
Transportation Secretary Stephanie Pollock says things are still being worked out.
What we're doing now is we formed a working group with some folks from the Executive Office of Public Safety to understand what the kinds of time-sensitive public safety emergencies might be. Amber Alerts is the example we keep coming back to, but there could be others. And then once we've made that decision, we're going to write some regulations.
So another question the ACLU has is how long will the state have your license plate data stored? That's another thing that is still being determined.
And the city of Somerville showing their hand, dropping an appeal against the Wynn Casino. The mayor of Somerville says it's because they've resolved many of the community's concerns and that the appeal was never meant to stop the casino, but to ensure the health, safety, and quality of life for the residents. Now, the appeal did cause some major changes to the casino's plans. This includes the reduced length of the casino's license from 85 to 50 years, and the use of a ferry, which will reduce road traffic.
I want to thank the community for their support. I want to thank the Somerville Board of Aldermen, our staff, our team. We are satisfied with the results, and we're proud of what we've accomplished. And we look forward to working with our new partners in Wynn.
The $2 billion casino is set to open in 2019. It will sit on 37 acres and will provide about 4,000 jobs.
Also from the night team, companies are dropping deals with American swimmer Ryan Lochte after he made up a story about getting robbed in Rio. Speedo and several other sponsors have said they're cutting ties while the athlete continues his apology tour. The Rio Games are over. For Ryan Lochte, so is his partnership with 4 sponsors, including Speedo and Ralph Lauren. Speedo saying, quote, "We cannot condone behavior that is counter to the values this brand has long stood for. Ralph Lauren saying, quote, the company will not be renewing his contract, reportedly worth as much as $1.8 million. Rio police say Lochte claimed he was robbed at gunpoint to cover up an act of vandalism. Today, the 12-time medalist said he respects Speedo's decision after apologizing this weekend.
That's why I'm taking full responsibility for it, is because I over-exaggerated that story. And if I never done that, we wouldn't be in this mess.
Lochte is in hot water with sponsors 7 years after Michael Phelps lost a deal with Kellogg's when he was photographed smoking marijuana. But many other brands stood by Phelps before his swimming comeback.
Michael Phelps wasn't penalized as strongly in terms of endorsements because he's the winningest gold medalist of all time. Ryan Lochte is likely going to lose somewhere between $5 and $10 million in lifetime corporate endorsements because of his shenanigans in Rio.
So as part of the decision, Speedo said today it will donate $50,000 to Save the Children, an organization to benefit needy kids in Brazil.
People already infected with Zika getting a dangerous diagnosis in Puerto Rico, where more than 13,000 people have gotten Zika. At least 34 people then got another disease, Guillain-Barré syndrome. That syndrome can cause paralysis in adults and has already caused one death. In Florida, kids going back to school wearing long sleeves in the 90-degree heat, trying to avoid getting bitten. Officials there now asking for more federal help.
We need federal help. We need the federal government to step up and do what's necessary.
Florida's governor today announced a state of emergency fund of $5 million for the area.
We are learning new details in the case of the little boy killed by an alligator at Disney World. Investigators now say the 2-year-old died from drowning and a crushing bite. They say the 7-foot alligator bit the child's head as he bent down near a lagoon at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort while building a sandcastle. A newly released report also says the toddler did not provoke the animal. The child's family says they do not plan to sue the resort. A fence was built around the lagoon after the child's death.
Turning now to the race for the White House. Donald Trump is under fire again, accused of flip-flopping on one of his signature issues, immigration. And Hillary Clinton is still facing heat from 2 issues that won't go away. In 14 months of campaigning, Donald Trump has made one thing abundantly clear.
We will work with them. They have to go. Yes, they're going to be deported. Look, we either have a country or we don't. You're going to have a deportation force, and you're going to do it humanely.
But tonight, Trump's immigration policy is in question after a weekend roundtable with Hispanic leaders reports Trump expressed openness for a path to legalization, his team opening the door.
Will that plan include a deportation force, the kind that you just heard in that soundbite and that he talked about during the Republican primaries?
To be determined.
This morning, Trump pushed back, but didn't deny that he was considering it.
No, I'm not flip-flopping. We want to come up with a really fair but firm answer.
Also under fire, Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation. In a stunning reversal, Bill Clinton saying if his wife is elected, he will step down from the board and will no longer raise funds for it. This as Donald Trump issuing new charges of pay-for-play against the foundation.
Number one, they should shut it down. Number two, they should give the money back.
Clinton running mate Tim Kaine turning the charge back against Trump.
Before you go about attacking a charity, why don't you come clean about your own business dealings?
But it comes as newly released Clinton emails from conservative watchdog Judicial Watch show some big foundation donors got access to Clinton through her top aide, Huma Abedin. For example, former Slim Fast tycoon S. Daniel Abraham, who donated millions to the Clinton Foundation, got a meeting with Clinton right after asking Abedin. Defenders point out the charity has improved the lives of millions.
I think it's important that the work of the foundation go on, but I think it's important for perception that the Clintons not have anything directly to do with the foundation and certainly don't know who the donors are.
A new controversy surrounding Clinton's emails also coming out today. She's under fire for reportedly telling the FBI that Colin Powell, the former Secretary of State, told her to use personal emails. Powell speaking out, saying her campaign is trying to put the blame on him.
There is still much more to come from the night team.
Up next, you could call it an unholy act. 2 women accused of robbing a nun at knife point and taking one of her most personal possessions.
Plus, nothing was going to stop one thief, the lengths he went to get the loot.
Also, a mystery in Maine. Gigantic snakes don't usually live there, but what is that?
delightful stretch of weather for the next few days. A little bit cool tomorrow morning. Forecast coming up next.
And later, this pastor will do almost anything to get his congregation fired up. Details on this daredevil when 7 News at 10 comes back.
For the latest news, weather, and sports, tap the 7 News app. It's free. Just search WHDH in your Android or iPhone app store.